Okay, I am not late. I just am just getting shit sorted out. So, welcome to episode 2 of Hite versus McCabe. In case you're new here, this is my civilian journalism reporting on a 7-year defamation lawsuit that was filed in the Court of Common Pleas of Blair County, Pennsylvania's Civil Division. I have already read the complaint on a previous live. If you've missed it, you can go back and listen to that live. It is listed Hite versus McCabe. So, yesterday there was a court hearing, and hold on one second. Yesterday there was a court hearing, and it was to specifically address motion for sanctions for defendants' failure to produce documents and other dilatory conduct. Okay? I just want to preface this entire live by saying that I have rightfully obtained these documents. These are my personal notes. And anything that I say in here is factual based on my understanding and belief, based on what I've read and heard with my own ears and eyes. The documents that I'll be reading today are filed in the Blair County Prothonotary Office, the Clerk of Courts, Clerk of Orphans Court, and this is case number 2019 GN 3938. Also, I don't know how to change my picture, so yeah, there's an eyeball with a slash through it, but that's fine because I'm not going on camera today. I'm just reading these documents and going to be going over my notes from yesterday's court hearing. So, yesterday's court hearing was initiated by the plaintiffs, Stephanie Hite, Andrew Hite, and Trade Secrets LLC as the plaintiffs, versus Catherine McCabe, Travis McCabe, and Green Bean Coffee House LLC defendants. I'm going to read the motion that landed this into the courts. And yesterday, I attended the court hearing. I took very detailed notes. And I will also say that there's a lot of crazy shit in here, okay? There is a lot of crazy shit. So strap your seatbelt on and buckle up and hold on like no other. Again, this lawsuit has been in the courts for 7 years. Okay, this was filed in 2019. Okay. This is plaintiff's motion for sanctions for defendant's failure to produce documents and other dilatory conduct. Plaintiffs Stephanie Hite, Andrew Hite, and Trade Secrets LLC, the plaintiffs, through their undersigned counsel, David N. Ferrucci, Esquire, hereby request this honorable court to sanction defendants Catherine McCabe, Travis McCabe, and Green Bean Coffee House LLC defendants pursuant to PARCP 4019 for their failure to produce documents and their dilatory and obstructionist conduct from the outset of this litigation. This motion is supported by the there's big words here, okay? Contemporaneously filed plaintiff's memorandum of law in support of plaintiff's motion for sanctions for defendants' failure to produce documents and other dilatory conduct. Memorandum. The exhibits attached thereto in the record in this case, which are incorporated herein by reference. And let me just tell you, one of these disgusting things, one of these disgusting exhibits was a post back in December of 2019 from Catherine McCabe, where she posts a meme and it says, bullies cause depression. Depression causes suicide. Are you a murderer? Let's get into it. The background. Plaintiffs bring this action for defamation, business disparagement, and torturous interference arising out of inter alia defendants' false, defamatory, and malicious statements published on various social media and broadcast news outlets. Amend complaint. Number 2, more specifically, the defendants launched a defamatory smear campaign against plaintiffs when they falsely and maliciously stated and asserted on social media and broadcast media that plaintiffs had murdered fellow local business owner Rebecca Hoover by harassing her, quote, on an almost daily basis, quote, which caused Miss Hoover to commit suicide. Then it says, see generally amend complaint, see memorandum 2-5. Number 3, additionally, defendants maliciously defamed and thereby caused reputational harm by falsely asserting not only that plaintiffs harassed Rebecca Hoover to death, but that the defendants had documented evidence and personal knowledge of plaintiffs' alleged harassment. Number 4, additionally, defendants maliciously defamed and thereby caused reputational harm by omitting exculpatory evidence of which they knew from their defamatory smear campaign. More specifically, defendants omitted, meaning left out, lie by omission, basically like lie without saying it, by just withholding it. More specifically, defendants omitted that the Altoona police, so they left out that the Altoona police had investigated the allegations of criminal harassment and concluded that the allegations of harassment were unfounded. And I'd like to preface that statement by also saying that on the police report, the word unfounded is in capital letters. We read that the other day when we were reading the complaint. The defendants have repeatedly violated the discovery rules and this court's order. Number 5, the defendants have engaged in a pattern of obstructing discovery, concealing evidence, and simply refusing to comply with this court's punitive damages discovery order dated February 7th, 2022. The most recent examples are the catalysts for this. Yet another sanction motion is 1, the defendant's failure to respond to plaintiff's latest attempt to obtain defendant's compliance with the court's punitive damages discovery order. Discovery requests compounded on December 29th, 2025. So basically, by that statement, they're saying that discovery is over as of December 29th, 2025. And they have refused the plaintiff's latest attempt to obtain defendant's compliance with the court punitive damages discovery order. Number 2, the recent discovery of Catherine McCabe's active, years-long concealment of relevant and responsive text messages between her and Rebecca Hoover's husband, Ken Hoover. Let me read that again. The recent discovery, we're 7 years into this, waiting for these people to get justice, okay? 7 years. The recent discovery of Catherine McCabe's active, years-long concealment of relevant and responsive text messages between her and Rebecca Hoover's husband, Ken Hoover. Number 6, on February 7th, 2022, this court entered an order stating in pertinent part, defendants are directed to make full and complete responses to the written discovery requests regarding defendants' net worth within 30 days of this order. So that was February 7th, 2022. Number 7, the defendants have never made full and complete responses as required by the order. The defendant's deliberate refusal to comply with the court's order for 3 years again forced the plaintiffs to formally request detailed follow-up punitive damages discovery requests on December 29th, 2025. The defendants, Catherine and Travis McCabe and Green Bean Coffee, have never responded to those requests after repeated requests. As of May 5th, 2026, the defendants' responses are now 92 days late. So this was 2.5 months ago. Number 8. You guys are going to be shocked by some of this stuff. I was shocked in court yesterday, I'll tell you that. On or about February 16th, 2026, after the existence of text messages between Ken Hoover, Rebecca Hoover's husband, and Catherine McCabe were discovered in a recent deposition, Hoover, upon request by plaintiffs, produced text message exchanges between himself and Catherine McCabe that should have been produced by defendants in response to plaintiffs' very first discovery request. Number 9, plaintiff request for production dated August 3rd, 2020. So let's just kind of like look a little bit into this just for a second. I'm not going to give opinions. I'm just going to, I guess, reiterate because I don't know all this stuff, okay? I'm just learning a lot. So the very first request for these text messages was August 3rd, 2020. Okay? Plaintiff's requests for production dated August 3rd, 2020 were exhaustive, expensive to propound, and designed to obtain every relevant document in this case. Under any number of the requests, McCabe's text message communications with Ken Hoover were responsive. For example, Those requests for production specifically requested any and all documents related to the WTAJ news segment, referenced in your answer at paragraph 71. In those text messages, which I have, McCabe and Ken Hoover repeatedly discussed the WTAJ segment. Under prejudice to plaintiffs caused by defendants' bad faith conduct. Number 10, plaintiffs have repeatedly done everything within their power to obtain the discovery that they have requested throughout these proceedings and to secure defendants' compliance with this order. But the defendants have refused to cooperate at every stage. Number 11, plaintiffs have given defendants every courtesy and agreed to every requested extension to provide defendants with an opportunity to comply with their discovery and the court-ordered obligations. Number 12, despite plaintiffs' repeated courtesies, defendants have refused to comply. 13, the prejudice to plaintiffs is severe. 14, with regard to the recently discovered text messages between Ken Hoover and defendant Catherine McCabe, the text messages are directly relevant to defendants' counterclaim and to the core issues in this litigation. Those text messages contain information that goes to the heart of the case. They contain information that undermines defendants' defenses and eviscerates their counterclaim. The core contention in the counterclaim is that the plaintiff knew their lawsuit was frivolous because they knew or should have known that defendants had documented evidence of the alleged harassment. Allegedly. Those text messages reveal that the defendants knew. Listen up, everybody. You two chaps. Those text messages reveal that the defendants, Catherine and Travis McCabe and Green Bean Coffee, knew they had no evidence to support their counterclaim months before they filed it. Had Ken Hoover, Rebecca Hoover's husband, never been deposed and had the right questions not been asked, these messages would have never been discovered. Wow. Thank you guys all for coming in. I appreciate you guys. I am reading a motion for sanctions for the defendant's failure to produce documents. This court hearing actually took place yesterday. So I'm reading the motion and then I'm going to tell you what happened in court because I was there. Okay. And I think this is very important for people to listen to. YouTube has been nicknamed SueTube, and we're not here for that. Okay. Number 15. The deliberately concealed messages contradict McCabe's sworn testimony. Yeah, I said it that slow too. Let me get a drink. Let me repeat that again. The deliberately concealed messages. Remember, they were supposed to produce these back in 2020. We're here 7 years later from the filing of the lawsuit. The deliberately concealed messages contradict McCabe's sworn testimony because Catherine McCabe, She was deposed, and I have her deposition right in front of me that I went and printed today at the Prothonotari's office. Yep. Number 16. Just wait until you hear. The defense. So imagine filing a lawsuit in 2019 and it's 2026 and you're still waiting to get in front of the judge. Mind you, Stephanie and Andrew Hite, they lost their business. Their business is no longer. Okay? But when you hear what she said to Ken Hoover in these text messages, you are not going to believe it. Number 16. Defendant's years-long active concealment of the messages between Ken Hoover and Catherine McCabe also constitute spoliation of evidence. Yeah, wheels of justice turn slow. Well, it's my understanding that there's been quite a few entries of service. I have some of those with me. Certificate of service, certificate of compliance, certificate of service. Lots of things that have changed. I mean, could you imagine, and I'm not trying to attach myself with this, but could you imagine if I had changed my attorney in just 2 years? Let's just say I changed my attorney 4 times. Yeah. Number 17, the defendant's refusal to comply with this court's February 7th, 2022 punitive damages discovery order has prejudiced plaintiffs and is egregious. You have to rewind. We've only been on here 22 minutes, so rewind it on 2 times. I think I read it slow enough. Number 18. Despite their best efforts, plaintiffs have been forced to seek court intervention on 2 occasions, have been forced to expend thousands of dollars in legal expenses, and have been deprived of the net worth documents in a timely manner so that plaintiffs can take depositions on those documents and or ask follow-up questions about it properly to prepare for trial. There's a case cited. The case is Ambrosia Coal and Construction Company versus People's Bank in 2002, and it says findings the defendant's discovery infraction to be egregious and entering a default judgment against the defendants and in favor of the plaintiffs, where defendants continually withheld information vital to plaintiffs' causes of action, and thus defendants delayed plaintiffs' causes of action going to trial and deliberately placed evidence beyond plaintiffs' reach. Sounds like a mirror thing, a mirror action. Number 19. The plaintiffs have been prejudiced by having to incur attorney fees, pursuing the repeated withheld information, taking depositions when deprived of vital evidence, and defending defendants' meritless counterclaim. Number 20. Plaintiffs respectfully submit that the court should not permit defendants to shirk their discovery obligations and continually violate this court's order, and should not allow plaintiffs to suffer the extreme prejudice caused by defendants' dilatory and bad faith conduct. Lying under oath is brave. Lying under oath is brave. You're right. But guess what? Imagine getting caught during your deposition by lying about your answers to the response to the complaint. Let me know if you need me to repeat that again. Number 20. Plaintiffs respectfully submit that the court should not permit defendants to, I already read that one, sorry. Wherefore, the plaintiffs respectfully request this honorable court to award plaintiffs their reasonable attorney fees, dismiss the defendant's counterclaim pursuant to PAR Civil 4019C3, and number 3, there's more than 3. Enter a judgment on liability in plaintiff's favor for their claims against defendants pursuant to PA 4019C3. Number 4, impose an adverse inference regarding the defendant's net worth for purpose of punitive damages determination. Number 5, to enter an order precluding defendants from relying on any evidence relating to their net worth that they have failed to produce. Number 6, to enter an adverse inference instructing to the jury that the jury must, when determining an appropriate sum of punitive damages, infer that defendants are intentionally trying to hide relevant discovery about their financial assets for the purpose of artificially deflating their net worth. Whew. Or in the alternative, 1, to award plaintiffs their reasonable attorney fees. 2, dismiss the defendant's counterclaim pursuant to PA Civil 4019C3. 3, to enter an order precluding the assertion of defenses as a discovery sanction. 4, impose an adverse inference regarding defendant's net worth for purposes of punitive damages determination. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. I wasn't sleeping. No, it was raining earlier. Tears of losers. Yep. All right, let me get, don't distract me. Okay, don't distract me. Okay. 5, to enter an adverse inference that the defendant's defamation proximity caused reputational and emotional distress damages. And B, defendants publish their defamatory statements with negligence and or with actual malice. Example, with knowing falsity or reckless disregard of truth or falsity. Number 6, to enter an order precluding defendants from relying on any evidence related to their net worth that they have failed to produce. 7, to enter an adverse inference instruction to the jury that the jury must, when determining an appropriate sum of punitive damages, infer that the defendants are intentionally trying to hide relevant discovery about their financial assets for the purpose of artificially deflating their net worth. So there was a little bit of change in there, but basically the same thing. And then this is signed by the attorney, Ferrucci. Okay? So that was filed May 6th, 2026 at 3:45 p.m. All right? May 6th. So it took about almost 3 months to get in front of the judge. Okay. Okay, that one's red. Just hold on. I was in court yesterday, but I think what I want to do is just read a couple of these exhibits. Would you guys rather me tell you first about what happened in court, or do you want me to read the fuck shit? Do you want me to read the fuck shit, or do you want me to tell you what happened in court? I'll preface this. The hearing is under advisement, but there's a lot of things that happened. Or do you want me to read the fuck shit first? Put a 1 in the chat if you want me to read the exhibits that I have, or 2 if you want me to read my notes from yesterday first. So 1 is exhibits, 2 is my notes. I'm going to read them both. I just want to know what order. 1 is the fuck shit, 2 is my notes. Do you want to read Catherine McCabe's text messages? How many of you want to read Catherine McCabe's text messages with Ken Hoover? These text messages that she withheld for years. I know you guys like the drama, but let's be respectful to the matter of this. This lawsuit was filed. The plaintiffs are friends of mine. And this same situation that I'm reading about, where they were falsely accused of bullying Becky Hoover to death, is what 6 of the plaintiffs in the fake RICO and a lot of people on social media, on TikTok and YouTube, have been bullying me about for the last 2.5 years. It's very telling, chaps and Catherine. Could you imagine being so fucking miserable that Catherine is gonna align herself with total strangers in other states, hate bonding over me, and then trying to intimidate me by saying they're going to go visit places and businesses in my small little village town? Yeah, that happened today. Whenever I come full circle, you're not even going to believe what happened in court yesterday. So if you think these text messages are damning, you're just hold on. Just hold your horses. July 31st, 2019. Let me just give you a little bit of a backstory. Okay, this is all factual information. Every year, on the anniversary death of Becky Hoover, Green Bean Coffee House makes a post on their business page. And it drums it all up every year. The false allegations, the blaming. Okay? I don't remember if it was July 16th or the 17th. I don't remember because like I said, I didn't know Becky Hoover. I have stated this claim over and over and over. I didn't know who Becky Hoover was or that she even existed until she sent Steph Hite, Trade Secrets, and Andy a cease and desist, which I read that in the original complaint. If you go back and listen, you'll be able to listen to all of that. It's very interesting, the timeline laid out. So this is approximately a week and a half. Oh, let me remind you all too. I believe somewhere in these depositions that I have that Ken Hoover, I'm pretty sure, 99.9% sure that Ken Hoover admitted to being in a relationship with someone just 2 weeks after Becky took her life. Okay, let me just preface this. And mind you, he is now married and with 2 children with this same person. Okay? July 31st, 2019, about a week and a half I don't know how many days. Let me look. I'm just going to use 17 for the reference because I think it's that. So 2 weeks, July 31st, 2019. Katie McCabe says to Ken Hoover, "Hey, how did your first day back go?" Ken says, "What good? What good? A bit weird." I think he meant to say, in my opinion, went good, a bit weird, but it was a typo, but whatever. He says, "Everyone acting strange." Catherine says, "Probably didn't know what to say. Was it helpful for you to be back?" He says, "Yes, very." Catherine says, "That's good. Did the WTAJ get a hold of you?" He says, "Yes." She says, "Are you going to let them do a story on Becky and bullying?" "Yes. But I told her I don't want to be I don't want it to be any kind of advertisement or anything." Catherine says, "Good. I was hoping you would, and you are 100% right. That would potentially overshadow her story." He says, "Told her I would contact her when I am ready." Let me just say that all of Catherine's text messages with the news reporter Colleen Knutson are also on the docket. Another piece of withholding evidence, because after reviewing what she submitted, they requested the rest because they knew that there was missing pieces. And then she submitted like another 150 pages after the fact. So just letting you know that. Catherine says, "They contacted me and asked if they could interview me because they were doing a story on Becky and bullying. I said, have you asked her?" We're going to read all of their text messages. This is going to be so multi-part, but we're going to read the news reporter and Catherine's text messages also. And you guys are going to be the civilian jury. "They contacted me and asked me if they could interview me because they were doing a story on Becky and bullying. I said, quote, have you asked her husband Ken if he is okay with doing a story about his wife?" Quote. Her response, "Oh, can you give me his number?" Travis and I just looked at each other like, what the? That's fantastic and a great idea. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I am good to be away from the crazies for a little bit. They have been messing around with us a little, but nothing too bad. Ken says, "Yes, I hear they have with a couple people. A shame. Blair County Coalition for Positive Change page is asking for info." Catherine says, "I saw that. I don't trust them." Ken says, "Neither do I. I do the news interview tomorrow." She says, "I heard. That's a good idea. You can subtly get your point across." She heard? Why was a news reporter telling Catherine that she was going to do an interview with Ken Hoover before Ken Hoover told Catherine? Ken Hoover says, "I am nervous and excited to get it out." She says, "You will do great." He says, "Thank you." She hearts it. So let's see. These started July 31st. So August 4th, we like a timeline. August 4th, 2019 at 9:15 p.m. Catherine types, "Hey, Paula was saying you are looking for paper trail on Hite and all the crap she did to Becky. I don't have anything except the bad review, which was not written by Steph, Andy, or Trade Secrets, just to preface this so you guys aren't deterred, and the post with the mayor on it. Most of what she did was sending people in posts on Facebook talking shit about her to other people. She was clever to do things that couldn't be tracked back to her. Are you planning on calling them out by name tomorrow? I've had enough. We aren't calling them out. All we were doing is sharing that they are people posting on fake profiles. Not my business who their only two friends are." And let me just give you a little bit of context around this. Catherine McCabe and Travis McCabe currently have a Green Bean Coffee House Facebook page. And back in the day, there was a bakery in our area. It was called Mrs. Grove's. It has since been sold, and the owners are no longer who they were back at that time. However, the owner, who is a little bit elderly, had a daughter named Melissa Smith, and it's a real person. She worked for, I think, the Department of Defense, and actually worked with people regarding schmuicide, okay, unaliving, okay, people that are struggling. She came back to our area to help her mother with the bakery because her mother was getting old. And if anybody in here has a business page, you know on Facebook that you cannot just have a business page without connecting a personal page to it. So in order for her to manage the page of the bakery, she created an account. She did not put a profile picture up. And because we actually got along with her, I actually, in my restaurant, sold the bakery's pies by the slice. And because this place was only open like Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, people could go get their items at other various businesses that they worked with. Anyways, Catherine, and I don't want to repeat this wrong, but this is my recollection. But Catherine screenshot Melissa Smith's profile showing that Steph Hite and I were that account's only friends. It was a new account, obviously, but we knew that it was her. She, obviously told us it was her at some point, or we wouldn't just be out here friend requesting, motherfuckers. Catherine McCabe then posted this Melissa Smith account and told all of her followers that it was a fake account. Okay? The account wasn't fake. What she purposely did, though, was instead of just capturing the name and the photo, whatever profile picture, she actually scrolled up to expose her friends list, which were Stephanie and I, told her community of people that it was a fake account. Mind you, I believe it was the same day Melissa Smith did in fact reach out to Catherine and told her that it wasn't a fake account, that it was her account. And Catherine is aware that the account was not fake. So when she says, all we're doing is sharing that there are people posting on fake profiles, this is not true. Her statement and verbiage to Ken Hoover is not true. And that post is still up to this day on her Facebook page. Let me keep going. Ken says, I did not see it. I'm so sorry. I just saw it. She says, it was a matter of time. No need to be sorry. I still never mentioned their names. Just letting people connect the dots. Ken says, I am definitely ready for the interview now. She says, good. Let me know how it goes. Then there's another conversation where Ken says, and they're referencing the mayor, okay, who people online on social media, on YouTube, TikTokers, have falsely accused me of sleeping with the mayor, which has never happened. That is defamation per se. I have never had any relationship other than he was the mayor. We had businesses in the city and we networked with other businesses and organizations, youth groups and whatnot. And the mayor was there and a part of that. That particular lie that has been spread around that I fucked the mayor started with his ex-wife. She went around and said that I must have had my hand in the cookie jar, which never happened. Okay? So Ken says, I did not mention him by name. I referred to him as a local politician. She says, good. I think they are scared now, and they are all scrambling to clean up their involvement. He says, I believe so. She sends the shrug your shoulders emoji. Ken says, wait for the firestorm after the news story. She says, I'm patiently waiting. They contacted me too also. They contacted me to also talk about my experience. Do you want me to? He says, if you are comfortable. She says, I am, as long as they don't lose sight of the true topic, which is Becky. He says, she says she will not, meaning the reporter. The reporter says she will not lose sight of the true topic. Catherine says, okay, I will contact her. Ken says, sends a thumbs up back. August 7th, 2019, 5:29 p.m. Catherine says to Ken Hoover, hi, just got done with our interview. He says, how did it go? And I don't really know the tone of voice. I'm just reading this. Now, I want you to listen very carefully to these text messages. And just remember that these text messages between Catherine McCabe and Ken Hoover were withheld evidence. Withheld evidence for over 6 years. Okay? She says, it went well. Once we started talking, it was hard to stop. She made me cry when she asked me what I would say to Becky if she were here. I didn't expect that question. I'm just going to pause there for one moment. And I'm going to tell you guys something, which I read. I didn't read in my first one, in my first live about this, but I'm going to tell you something. We're going to take a little detour for just a second. Rebecca Hoover texted Catherine McCabe the day she took her life. She texted Catherine McCabe at 11:11 a.m. She texted Catherine McCabe and said, "If anything should happen to me, please be there for Ken. He liked you guys." And she gave the phone number. Catherine replied, "What happened?" And she never heard another message back from Becky. Catherine McCabe did not call 911. Catherine McCabe did not stop and go to Becky's house to do a welfare check. Catherine McCabe did nothing. When Catherine McCabe was deposed and asked why she did nothing, what do you think her response was? And if you know the answer, please don't put it in the chat. For anybody blindly listening to this, first of all, if I texted you that message, would you be concerned? Would that alarm you? It is no secret that last year I called in a welfare check for Stephen Crabtree. We all know who Stephen Crabtree is. I didn't stop until I reached the right department for his jurisdiction. I was on the phone with the Sumner County Sheriffs and then another jurisdiction until I had a confirmation that somebody made contact with Stephen Crabtree. Stephen Crabtree is alive, and he thanked me for calling that welfare check in. That is awareness. That is what a friend does. Whether I'm good friends or an acquaintance friend or whatever kind of friend, okay? I am a decent human being. And if I know that somebody is in a situation where they are so hopeless and they are expressing thoughts, that's when you pick up the phone and you call. And if anybody ever has an instance where they feel hopeless or helpless, or they feel like they don't have somebody to talk to, you can call or text 988 anytime, 24 hours a day. But yeah, Catherine, under her own deposition, said that she was too busy at work. She was too busy at work to pick up the phone, step away for 30 seconds to a number that always answers 911. "Hi, this is so-and-so, blah, 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 my phone number, blah, blah, blah. I just got an alarming text message from Becky Hoover. Could you please do a welfare check?" It doesn't even take 30 seconds. It doesn't even take 30 seconds. Back to the messages with Catherine and Travis and Ken Hoover. Sorry. So she says, "She made me cry when she asked me what I would say to Becky if she were here. I didn't expect that question." And that's why I broke away from that comment that she wrote in her text message, because I truly believe, in my opinion, that Catherine is suffering with an enormous amount of guilt, as she should. I believe that Catherine, at that point in time, was also a volunteer for like a crisis hotline area in our area. Yeah. If I'm suffering from mental health, I would not want a friend like Catherine. Ken Hoover says, oh, wow, I had a rough night last night. Catherine says, I'm sorry to hear that. I know it's hard. Travis and I are headed to Tavern 27 with the kids to meet our friend Steve. Would you like to join us? Ken says, I have to meet people at the store. He has to meet people at the store. Like the girl that he's now married to, who he admitted to being with just 2 weeks after Becky allegedly took her life. Who he's married to now with 2 children. Whose legacy of Becky Hoover's he swore to keep alive, to keep her memory alive. Ken Hoover, who threw out her phones and her tablet and all of her belongings. Ken Hoover, who deleted her social media and never made a memorialization page. Ken Hoover, who closed the business. Ken Hoover deleted Becky Hoover off the internet and out of his life, in my opinion. And trust me, I have the facts to back up what I'm telling you. 50 cents a page. Oh, okay, Catherine says, are you meeting local businesses that want you to carry their products? This is 3 weeks after Becky takes her life, and Catherine's worried. Are you meeting local businesses that want you to carry their products? Mary, this is a 7-year-long defamation lawsuit in Blair County. And the next, after I read these text messages and parts of her deposition that I want people to know, I'm going to read what happened in court yesterday. So the day of this WTAJ news piece. Now, mind you, you have Colleen Knutson. She's the reporter. We're going to read all of their text messages. We're not going to do it all today. I'm not one to hold 6-hour lives anymore. But we're going to read Colleen Knutson's and Catherine McCabe's text messages and others. There's lots. So on the day that the story aired, mind you, WTAJ, not one time ever reached out to anyone that Catherine and Travis, Green Bean Coffee, or Ken Hoover, in my opinion and my understanding, to get a second look at the other side of the story. They listened to Catherine McCabe's story through text messages and the meeting with Ken Hoover, and they reached out to no one. Instead, Ken Hoover says, did the story air already? Someone indicated to me they saw something. Catherine says, it was a 45-second teaser. He says, oh, okay, tonight at 11. She says, yes. Catherine says, what do you think about Pacifico, which is the mayor? Ken says, he's trying to cover his behind. I'm sorry, I want to read this perfectly. Trying to cover his behind. Catherine says, agreed. Then Catherine states, I told him, quote, you don't get to be the person who claims you are intelligent and capable until it becomes convenient to the person who isn't. Ken Hoover, in another text, puts a thumbs up. You see what Trude posted on my business page. They're talking about me. I'm just going to say barbecue because I'm not putting all my shit out there. Sorry. Ken Hoover says no. Colleen said 3 people called the station already. Colleen Knutson is who they're talking about, the reporter. Catherine says, what did they say? Ken says, she didn't say. Thinks they are afraid she is going to air them out. Catherine says, who was it? Hite or Trude? He says, I don't know. She says, I'm going to ask her. Wow. These people. In another message, Catherine says, I am getting tons of messages, but I will not list anyone's name. Just listen up. Listen. I don't know if it's people that they know or are trying to get me to say their name so they can attempt to claim defamation or slander against me. I told Chris at Poochie Chef not to state names either. Ken says, exactly. Catherine says, sit down, everybody. Please sit down. Just sit down in your seat right now before I read the next set of sentences. Catherine says, people know I want to crush them. Ken says, I see they removed the reviews from their Facebook page. Catherine says, yep. Coward. There was another text message where she says, it's in my notes. It's in my notes for the hearing yesterday. She said, hold on, give me 2 seconds to find it in my notes. I think she said something along the lines of, please don't quote me, I'm paraphrasing, but pretty damn close. She's not done yet. Or she's just getting started. Something to that nature. It gets a fucking more insane, dude. It gets insane. Good morning. She's saying this to Ken. This is after the news segment. I hope everything is going well. So I haven't said anything to you before now because I didn't want to cause you any more stress. But we have been dealing with a lawsuit from the Hite since December. They are trying to sue us for defamation and business disparagement. In order to prove we didn't commit defamation, I am going to have to prove that Becky took her life because of the bullying from the Heights. We are going to need the help of you, Becky's family, and friends. I wish I could fight this alone and leave you all out of it, but you all know things I don't even know. Is there a time and day we can meet up to talk? He says, I hate that you are going through this. However, I don't know if anyone realizes how much I have going on and am still going through. Family issues, financial burden, negative rumors, and so much else continues to this day. I have provided you with a copy of the note Becky left. Pause. I'm going to interject here and say, I also have this note. I was deposed in court by Catherine's attorneys. Her attorney handed me Exhibit A. I left the whole deposition with my exhibits, the court reporter, the stenographer, whatever, the lady who's typing all this shit out. She swapped something with me. She's like, hey, I need that one. Okay. Chaps, April Goodwin, over here on YouTube. Remember, she was here around like last year saying she was Dog the Bounty Hunter's relative, whatever. She's going after me every single day on Facebook with people in my community, in my county, that in the town that I grew up in. She's made friends with strangers. She keeps claiming that my name is in Becky Hoover's suicide note. I have her captured messages that she typed out on her Facebook page. She's also accused me of taking pages out of it and saying, just remember, it's on the docket. It's an evidence. Yeah, it is. And my name isn't in it. Anyway, back to it. I have provided you with a copy of the note Becky left. Other than that, I don't think there is anything I can provide to you that would prove anything. This is Becky's husband. This is Becky's husband saying, I don't think there is anything I can provide to you that would prove anything. I see this as nothing more than a way for them to further smear my and Becky's name and reputation. Nobody has smeared their name to begin with. Becky filed a police report. The police investigated it. They said it was unfounded, and Becky continued. And I believe that Catherine incited more hate because of her hate for Steph Hite and probably me. Based on the look of her face when I was deposed and I said, I hope you lose everything for what you did to my friends. She looked like she wanted to jump over the table and stab me. Anyway, good luck. I have already lost friends, and family have stopped talking to me over false rumors. I can't take on any more emotionally right now. Sorry. I understand, she says, and a little bit more. Okay. So what do you guys think so far? What do you guys think? I mean, I haven't even showed anything. I'm just reading. I mean, the deposition pages are telling. Do you guys, let's go into what happened at court yesterday, and then I'm going to skim through some of these deposition pages of Catherine McCabe, especially where they caught her lying. I can't wait till you guys hear this. All right, so give me 2 seconds. Hold on, as Brittany would say. Let's set a goal. Can we set a goal? I don't know how to do any of this, guys. This is my first live. Oh, here we go. I will. I know you guys hear me typing. Okay. Okay, here's my goal. I don't know if it's going to show up for you guys. Okay, but there's a goal up in the top corner or whatever. You're a little, okay, so let's just say this. there's a bath and body care company called Trade Secrets, and they're owned by Steph and Andy Hite. Okay, but that business is closed because the defendants, Travis and Catherine McCabe, and they are the owners of Green Bean Coffee House, went on WTAJ News with Becky Hoover's husband at the time. He's remarried now with 2 kids, and said that Becky took her life because she was being bullied. None of that is true. It's not true. It's total defamation. And it ruined their business. Their business is no longer. They were doing so much business. They were looking at a second location. They expanded their business. They had a manufacturing location. They had a whole huge other business that had a salt room. It was 15 times bigger, in my opinion, than the other place. They were so busy. Like, when you're busy, you don't have time to worry about who, what, where, why, when's going on anywhere else. Okay? So. Oh, wait. No. Hold on. Continue. Oh, wait. No, I don't want to do that. I don't know what I'm doing here. Huh. Yeah. That's very telling. Yeah. Okay, so yesterday, why did they do all of this? Hate, ego, jealousy? I don't know. You'll have to ask Catherine. I wouldn't ask her, though, because she gives me vindictive vibes, malicious. Okay, so like I said, 7 years ago, this lawsuit was filed. And yesterday was the very first time that they got to go in the courts and present their motion for sanctions for the defendant's failure to produce documents and other dilatory conduct. So again, let me repeat. She withheld her text messages with Ken Hoover that I just read, where she says, I want to crush them. And she's just getting started, or she's got more coming, or whatever she said. I'll find the exact thing, but I don't want to misquote her own words, so I'm just going to leave it open-ended for now because I don't remember. So yesterday, the entire courtroom, every chair, okay? Hold on. Every chair was filled with people who are standing behind the Hites. Not even behind them, with them. They know that they're good people. They know that they have done nothing. They wouldn't even probably kill a spider, you know? They did not bully Becky Hoover to death, and neither did I. And the tables are about to, they're not about to turn, but they're about to add some chairs to it. So yesterday was Monday, July 27th, 2026. And what I'm going to read you is a summarization of my own notes. I hand wrote my own notes based on what I heard the judge say, what I heard Andy and Steph and Trade Secrets attorney say, and what I heard Catherine and Travis and Green Bean Coffee's attorney say. This was in courtroom number 6. Judge Lou Schmidt was the presiding judge. Stephanie and Andrew Hite are present, representing themselves with their attorney and their business that is no longer. Catherine and Travis McCabe and Green Bean Coffee, not present. They did not come. They were not in attendance. They did not show up. Let me describe the judge to you, because I was, I'm 5'7". This judge came in at 1:27 p.m. at like a towering 6'8". Yeah, they also didn't show up for Ken Hoover's deposition, which was very telling. They showed up for mine. And I looked across the table and told her, I hope you lose everything for what you've done to my friends. Everybody is ordered to seated. And the first thing out of the judge's mouth, why do I have a 2019 case on my bench? How come it hasn't moved? I am scheduling a jury trial. October 26th for selections. November 2nd to 6th is the trial. So for 7 years, withholding evidence, withholding text messages, and there is now a court date just 3 months away. As soon as I heard him say that, you just can't help but smile. And I looked and I made eye contact with Steph, and I'm just nodding my head. It is about damn time. I mean, I've been in litigation for 22 months. Today, we are waiting another, what is this, day 183, I think we're on with the Superior Court. So we're going to move along with the motion for sanctions. The motions, and this is just my notes, I obviously just read in complete part the defendant's motion for sanctions that they filed on May 6, 2026. So you can rewind if you didn't get a chance to hear all of that. My notes are obstructing discovery, refusing to comply with punitive orders. Judge Sullivan had an order on 2/7 of 2022, ordering the discovery, subpoenaing the discovery request. And at no time has the defendants denied or disputed the order. These are my notes. Steph and Andy and Trade Secrets attorney, Mr. Ferrucci, tells the judge that they have found discrepancies with undisclosed assets, that the order was not complied to by the defendant. The rules require production of the records. They need to disclose their net worth information. He talks and presents to the judge emails where the other attorneys are trying to state that they've got some secret agreement, a confidentiality agreement. There's a bunch of unanswered emails. If you are in a lawsuit with somebody, Hey, did you guys check out the little bullseye goal at the top left corner of your chat box? It's white and black and has a bullseye. There's a little goal in there if you want to help out. So he talks about these emails with this alleged secret agreement. And then after the fact, Judge Sullivan signs the order ordering the production of records for the net worth info. They didn't waive any right. They didn't complain against the order. In fact, there's an Exhibit E, which is an email from Miles, where the defendants are ordered to produce financial records. And on November 10th, 2023, they're requesting information for punitive damages. He's presenting these emails to the judge. Now, the parties did agree to a confidentiality agreement. Exhibit C is an email between Emily Ishler and attorney Ferrucci. 60 days to respond. He's questioning their net worth as outstanding. He's waiting for documents from the, and then Ishler, the attorney, mind you, they've had 5 or 6 or 7 attorneys now. I don't know how many. I've lost count. Too many. So Ishler says, I'm waiting on documents from the McCabes. Ferrucci says, when can we expect the net worth? When are we getting the documents? There were other attorneys listed on that same email, like CC'd on the email. None of them chimed in. None of them. They've never provided the net worth discovery documents. It's supposed to detail their net worth. They've never objected. So in February 2022, their claim is revisionist history. They know that they're supposed to produce this for discovery. And these are not isolated incidents. This is a pattern that the defendants have employed since day one. Remember, I just told you 7 years later, Ken Hoover's text messages are finally being brought out, but not by Catherine and Travis and Green Bean Coffee. These text messages between Ken Hoover and Katie McCabe, Catherine McCabe, whatever you want to call her, was just now received. All related communications was requested when they filed this lawsuit, and in 2020, they knew that it was required. McCabe knew that she had them. She deliberately concealed them. Ken Hoover did not submit the text messages either. Their attorney had to ask. Thank you so much, Rainbow. Baby is a girl. Let me give you a little heart. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here, but thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm trying to like it. It won't let me like it. Oh, there we go. Did I like it? Oh, no. It won't let me like it. Their attorney didn't ask. Ken Hoover didn't turn them over. Steph and Andy and Trade Secrets, attorney Ferrucci, demanded preservation. Thank you, Miss Rachel Steeler fan. The fact of the matter is that Catherine and Travis and Green Bean Coffee concealed vital, critical evidence. Ken Hoover's texts demonstrate willful disregard. Ken Hoover's text with Catherine saying, I want to crush them, just days after the news segment. Oh, I wrote it here. She states, she's far from done. She knew the public would figure it out. She told Ken she's letting people connect the dots. And they concealed these text messages for 7 years. Well, Catherine, she ultimately got her wish. She wanted to crush her. She wanted to crush Steph Hite. Trade Secrets was crushed. Steph's mental health was crushed. They crushed their business. They are refusing to follow court orders. So they're asking, please dismiss the counterclaim. Issue a judgment of liability, damages, attorney's fees, punitive damages, sanctions. So after the attorney is done, he says, I'd like to reserve my remainder of my time for rebuttal. As soon as Travis and Catherine and Green Bean Coffee's attorney stands up to the podium, the judge yells, how come the info hasn't been produced? Where is it? What happened next happened so fast. I can only write so fast. But Catherine's lawyer, he says that they agreed to produce the net worth statement and they agreed to a different agreement other than the court order. They agreed to another agreement other than the court order. So the attorney for the defendants is basically saying, we had this secret agreement before Judge Kegerice or Sullivan, I'm not sure which one I read earlier, before he signed the order ordering the financial records for punitive damages. To avoid further litigation on a court order, it has to be produced. The judge says, why haven't you produced it? He had no answer. This attorney stood at the podium with his horrible Just for Men dye job on his hair, a wrinkled suit, all wrinkled all over the back, just wrinkled, wrinkle. And he stood silent in front of the judge, tried to blame another attorney on the case. And the judge says, well, you're here now. You need to answer. He said he didn't have an answer, but that they did produce 1,000 pages. The judge says, but did you produce what they are seeking? Are you still sitting down? If you're still sitting down, put a 1 in the chat. I know, whatever. The judge says to the defendant's attorney, did you produce what they are seeking? The attorney says, exhaustive to prior order, what we provided doesn't include everything. I don't even think I should even read any further. Like, he literally just told the judge that what they provided, the 1,000 pages, doesn't include everything. So the judge says, why not? So you're saying that you didn't submit it because of another agreement? And just to let you guys know, if a judge orders something and you think that you had an agreement for confidentiality or whatever the agreement was prior to the judge signing his name on the dotted line, a judge's order supersedes any agreement that you previously had. Period. End of story. Out the door. So he continues to go on and he says things like, the plaintiffs have not showed bad faith. He wants the judge to deny their motion for sanctions. It's targeted. He said it's basically like a Belize theory to conceal or destroy promptly, and he promptly provided them, which is not true. He requests for default judgment to be denied because they made a good faith effort. He says they could have recalled Catherine after her 17 hours of depositions. They didn't depose Colleen Knutson. They're limited to producing updated financial records. Decline any sanctions. He's done talking. He's done talking. He goes back and he sits down. Nothing further, Your Honor. Excuse me, I'm not trying to cough in your ear. Let me take a drink. Listen, I talk a lot, but I don't talk this much. So Stephanie Andy's and trade secrets attorney, Mr. Ferrucci, he goes back up to the stand for his rebuttal. And he says, in a nutshell, I could get these transcripts down the line. We might. We should. It'd be fun, whatever. So he tells the judge, you just heard why you have a 2019 defamation case sitting at your bench 7 years later. The first discovery was August 3rd of 2020. And the text messages between her and Ken Hoover have been in her possession and control. They concealed them. The pattern has been the same every time. Several times. Calling Knutsen's text messages. Hey, provide us with your text messages. She sends over a couple handfuls. They look through them, connect the dots that there's some things missing. Hey, we're going to need the rest of these. And then, couple hundred, 150 more pages are submitted, turned over. So several times that they've done this. They produce a little, then a little more. I wrote this down. It says all discrepancies, all undisclosed records, Exhibit F, financial discovery. There is no unringing the bell of astronomical fees. Think about that. This is something that Granny and I are going through right now. There is no unringing the bell of astronomical fees. The real prejudice lies against the defendants. By withholding evidence and sculpatory evidence, however you want to call it, they have prevented the plaintiffs from deposing and all that stuff, okay? So the trial date is being set for November 2nd. I took these notes. It says adverse inferences, punitive damages, judge may defer net worth. They need to submit a precise amount 30 days before the pretrial conference. Defendants intentionally are hiding assets for their net worth value. Enormous amounts of attorney fees. You think that Granny and I's attorney fees are insane? How many of you guys think that Granny and I's attorney fees are insane? Put a red heart in the chat if you think that Granny and I's attorney fees are insane. Ferrucci says, we need our fees. They need their fees. They were defamed. He didn't say this. I'm saying this. They were defamed. There is proof that Catherine McCabe was privately talking with people. Doesn't matter. She was talking about Steph Hite. I have one of the transcripts right here. Let me just hop right into some of these transcripts in a second. So at the end of the hearing, which this hearing lasted about 25 minutes, it was very fast. The judge said that he's going to take it under advisement. He's going to review everything that was presented to him, all the emails, the things in the motions and such. And he's going to be very careful how he crafts the order. But this case, and he states this, which is why I posted my short in my dress, which I was on the wrong verse, and I don't care. But the judge stated the very last thing he said to them. This case is going forward one way or another. And that's all I could think of, because I think of songs and stuff like that, and that's what I thought of. One way or another, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna get you one way or another. I'm gonna light this candle. By the way, if anybody goes to the dollar store, like which dollar store? The Dollar General, they have a Martha Stewart candle line there, and the blueberry cobbler is fucking amazing. Okay, so let me ask you guys this. I'm going to skim through a couple of these deposition pages, but I do want to know what do you guys want to hear next? Like, I would like you guys to tell me what episode 3 you would like to hear next. I mean, there's so much. There's hundreds and hundreds. Listen, Granny and I's record is 8,054 pages, okay? I'm not reprinting all of these pages, but I have quite a bit that I went and printed today, and I'll go back tomorrow. So what am I going to print? What do you guys want to read next? Do you want to read the text messages with Colleen Knutson, the news lady? Do you want to hear their text messages? Okay. I just want to remind you too, in this motion for sanctions, one of Catherine's, well, there were several actually, but one of the posts that Catherine wrote was December 16th, 2019. She says, bullying comes in many forms: verbal bullying, tangible material bullying, physical bullying, passive-aggressive covert bullying, cyberbullying, which, let me just tell you, in Pennsylvania, there is no adult cyberbullying law, which I will be working to take to legislature an expansion of the crime code of juvenile bullying to adult bullying. That is my mission, because I cannot tell you how many times that I have personally been bullied on the internet. I have witnessed Steph Hite be bullied on the internet. There is no crime code in Pennsylvania. But Catherine decides that she's going to post a meme that says, bullies cause depression. Depression causes suicide. Are you a murderer? And I just want to call out while I'm on this live, Catherine McCabe, because I know your little posse watches, and you're probably going to watch and listen to clips of this also. I mean, you should, because you weren't at court yesterday. And I know that you weren't required to be there, which is totally fine. Okay? But you're going on social media, aligning yourself with April Goodwin, who has lied to this community. She has lied to this community. She has publicly defamed me. She has publicly aligned herself to re-victimize me for my childhood trauma by associating with my mother on a live that they coordinated to send me a silent message. I have those messages. See, one thing that people know, if you know me, I have receipts of everything. I have receipts of people that said they have not talked about me for almost a decade or 7 years or whatever. Yet I have their posts just from last year. I have them. And I know that you, Catherine, went online to WTAJ for their news segment and you said, I have the proof. I've had this proof for 2 years. People trying to come between me and my husband. That is demonstrably false. Because you didn't show the context to the message. I called Catherine McCabe at her store to ask, before she became a cunt, if she wanted to collaborate with my 6-month anniversary that I had going on to donate a gift card. That never happened because she's a fucking bitch. Because she's so self-absorbed and so self-centered. Her pride gets in the way. Her ego rules her, in my opinion. That's my opinion based on the behavior and the things that I've seen her say. That's my opinion. Last year, Catherine tried to intimidate me by sending me a cease and desist letter. However, the statements that I made were truthful. Why were they truthful? Because they were Catherine's own words from her own deposition. Let's read some, shall we? Let's read some of the things that Catherine said in her deposition. Okay? Now listen, I'm setting a goal for 5 super chats to be made in 15 minutes. And if you guys hit the goal, okay, let's do 10. 10 $5 super chats. I will sing Lemon Pound Cake at the end of this live. And I know all the words, so it's a great example of freedom of speech. Remember, you can have freedom of speech, but you don't have freedom of your consequences for your speech, right, Catherine? You don't have freedom of speech to defame people. Let's just get into a couple of these real quick, and then I'm going to hop off here. I've been on here for almost 2 hours. It's longer than I'm going to be on here for. 2 hours. Thank you, Miss Rachel Steeler fan. Thank you so much for your support. All right. Let's get into some of these pages, okay? I'm going to be on for 12 more minutes. Well, 15, because if you guys reach the goal, then I got to sing Lemon Pound Cake. All right. And listen, I'm not a singer, okay? Now listen to this very carefully. In her own deposition, Trade Secret Steph Hite, Andy Hite's attorney, Mr. Ferrucci, says, is Chaps working for the coffee lady? I don't know, working for her, but they definitely speak a lot on social media, and all those comments are being captured. Should take that shit offline, probably. Maybe not. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Maybe you'll learn a lesson that, you know, when it comes time to turn those text messages over, you're going to have to do it. Just who are the parties who bullied and harassed Rebecca Hoover? Ferrucci asked McCabe. She said that would have been Stephanie and Andrew Hite. This is based on what Becky told Catherine, okay? He says, did you personally witness that? She says there was messages verbally and confirmation from people who said they witnessed it as well. Okay, let's go into he said, she said, all right? So he says, so it was all secondhand. Yes. People told you this was happening? Yes. You never personally witnessed? No. Any of the said bullying or harassment? No. Is that a no? Yes, it's a no, basically. And the evidence, I think you said, was messages from Becky Hoover? Correct. And that would be Exhibit A to your first response. Well, I couldn't tell you what exhibit was. 101 to 314. Let's turn to page 112 of the complaint, and then let's look at your answer. Are you guys ready for this? Thank you so much, KS Cats 290. Thank you so much. 7 more, and I'm going to sing Lemon Pound Cake. What are you doing, Bruno? Let me know when you're at complaint paragraph 112. She says, I'm there. And that reads, Catherine McCabe contacted Heather Chesney, the facility sales coordinator for the Jaffa Shrine Center in Altoona, PA, and told Miss Chesney that Steph Hite should not be permitted to hold events at the Jaffa Mosque because of the false statement. Remember, it's unfounded by the police too, that Steph Hite harassed Rebecca Hoover to death. Did I read that correctly? You read it correctly. He says, let's look at your answer on 112. Are you there? 112 here. Yes, thank you. He says, your answer says admitted, correct? He says, she says, did I tell one person privately that Stephanie harassed someone to death? Yes, he says. Then she answers, yes, one person I told. Which, mind you, one person has turned into like 6 or 7. We'll get to that too. We're going to have to do a couple more parts. So she says, yes, one person I told. He says, the attorney Ferrucci for Stephanie Hite, Andy Hite, and Trade Secrets, LLC, says, so that's a false statement in 110, where you say it is denied that the defendants publicly or privately accused plaintiffs of bullying and harassing Rebecca Hoover to death. Then he says, you're under oath, Mrs. McCabe. We need 5 more and I'll sing. We're almost done. She says, yeah, I understand that. And I mean, I'm telling you that the context in which I answer this is different than the context of hypothetically, which is what you're bringing to me right now. He says, let's look at 115 of your answer. You say defendants never identified plaintiffs, but you did identify plaintiffs to Heather Chesney. Oh, thank you, Cheryl, Texas. And thank you, Survivor G3X, for the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you. Brittany 4472, Jen, Tommy Wingy, Happy Lauderdale, Happy Life 50. Thank you guys. What do we got? 6 minutes left. Let me just reread that again, dude. I mean, what the hell? You say defendants never identified plaintiffs. So the attorney is telling Catherine and reminding her that in her answer, she answered that she did not publicly tell or privately tell anybody, Stephanie or anybody's name. He says, you say defendants never identified plaintiffs, but you did identify plaintiffs to Heather Chesney as he says, it's just a simple question. Did you identify the plaintiffs to Heather Chesney? Catherine McCabe answers, yes. Ferrucci, so that's a false denial in 115. And he says, I mean, is this answer to this question? He says, you're making statements. You're making statements in your verified answers. So when you answer a complaint, you are making verified statements. Do you understand that? Unbelievable. Let's keep moving through a couple of these. Here's one. Again, this is Catherine's deposition. Thank you, Shannon 3SS, for your $4.99 super chat. Thank you for supporting the Barbecue Lady channel. Welcome to the barbecue club. Club Mabel. I'm just kidding. What are they doing? I'll let you out in a second. You just got to wait 2 minutes. They want me to sing. They're trying. They're coming in short. So maybe you'll get to go outside and go potty sooner. Okay? Just sit down. You're fine. On the last line, he says, she says, meaning Rebecca, she says, now I can't get into the Jaffa shows or Hollidaysburg and even the Jib I went to. Did you see that? Do you see that? She says, I do. Now, when you were talking to Becky, should be ashamed. Thank you so much. Barbecue Lady and Mods did great tonight. Hashtag the Heights deserve justice. Please, everybody like that. Just click on the little thumbs up there if you're in here. They deserve justice. Attorney Ferrucci says, now when you were talking to Becky and before you shared her story, did you do any independent investigation to determine whether what Becky says in this message is true? Before you shared Becky's stories, did you do any independent investigation to determine what Becky says in this message is true? He did ask that twice. I'm repeating it. She says no. She did no investigation. She just listened to whatever Becky said, which we can get into Becky and Catherine's text messages. Would you guys like to read those too? I think they're on the docket also. I'll check. I got to go into the courthouse to do that. So if we look at pages 171 and 172, it looks like these messages there's some missing messages between 171 and 172. She says, I'm sorry. He says, it looks like there's gaps in the production between 171 and 172. It looks like you just screenshotted these. Is that how you obtain these? Uh-oh, we're down to 3 minutes. What do we got left? Oh, shoot, we got 2 more. If we get 2 more super chats, I'll sing Lemon Pound Cake. This is so damning. Look at your last message. You say this is 5:23, and Becky says, hey, I made something for you peeps at the coffee house. Who all works there? Yes, you, Travis, Meg, Marge. Do you see that? Yes. And you say, oh, seriously, that's so sweet. Do you see that? I do. And then on the next page, you say, I know, we have something amazing here. Yeah, I believe we were talking about bath bombs. She made these peppermint mochas because we do peppermint mochas. Ferrucci says, now the police wrapped up their investigation on May 10th, 2018. Is that your recollection as well? She says that is correct. Ferrucci says, and Becky tells you that Point of Fitness goes in trends and tells Becky's customers to shop at, I'm sorry, let me repeat this. And Becky tells you, so he's reading this saying, Becky is telling Catherine that Point of Fitness goes into trends and tells Becky's customers to shop at Trade Secrets. And that the incident took place around May 23rd, 2018, correct? She says yes. So Becky would have you believe that after Stephanie received a cease and desist, we're talking about Stephanie Hite. After Stephanie Hite received a cease and desist letter, after being criminally investigated for harassment, after having to go down to a police station with her attorney and ask and answer questions, that she would do this 13 days later. That's what Becky would have you believe. They go on. Do you see that the case, it says case unfounded? Catherine answers yes. Date unfounded, 5/10/2018. Do you see that? She says yes. Ferrucci says, so the police investigated these claims of harassment against Stephanie Hite, and their conclusion was case unfounded. We got 20 seconds left. Please don't send anything. We got 2 super chats in 20 seconds. I'm not sending them. I'm not singing it. Thank God. Thank you guys for getting me out of it. Oh, shit. Should be ashamed. 10 seconds. Oh, no. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. I don't have a sound bar, so I am the fucking sound bar. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Look at that. We just got 2 that came in at the last second. All right. I'll sing it. I'll sing it at the end. I know you guys really want to hear it, and you love me singing. Let me finish up a couple of these. So it says the case is unfounded, date from 5/10/2018. The police investigated these claims of harassment against Stephanie Hite, and their conclusion was case unfounded, right? Correct, she says. Ferrucci says, now if you look at the narrative, I guess I'm looking here, Miss Cabe. Okay. Now it says here, Becky said that Mason Ferrucci left negative reviews about her business. What paragraph is that? That's on paragraph 3 or 4. You see that? Uh-huh. Doesn't sound like Steph Hite, Andy Hite, or Trade Secrets. So the incident is unfounded. In your anti-awareness bullying campaign, did you tell the public that Becky went to the police? She says, I believe so. Did you tell the public that Becky's claim of harassment were unfounded? Catherine McCabe says, no. Attorney Ferrucci says, I mean, that's pretty big part of the story. Wouldn't you agree? This says that the police found it like it was unfounded. That doesn't mean it was happening. That's a typo. Isn't part of the story of going to the police that the police found her claims unfounded? This wasn't what I said in my communication on the post, was that she went through what she believed to be the proper channels. That's what I said. Ferrucci says, did you say that when, and then you sadly said nothing was done, right? But something was done, correct? She says, I don't believe that Becky felt that something was done. You didn't say that Becky didn't. Your statement wasn't Becky felt like nothing was done. You said nothing was done. Right? But something was done, correct? There was a police report, yes. The police investigated the claims, correct? That's what it looks like. And they found those claims to be unfounded. She says that happens. He says, so that was done, right? She says that happens, yes. But you didn't tell the public that part of the story. She says, I wasn't telling a story in the regards. I'm not understanding where that would fit into. He says, I'll get to it later. Let's look at page 108 of your communications with Becky. Are you there? Yes. So on 4-5, Becky says, had to call the police. Men waiting for me at my work this morning. Did you see that? Yes. And you say, are you serious? Did the police get them? Do you see that? Yes. Becky says, no. Her dad had to leave her alone, so they're waiting for the police to call. This was on 109. So I'm with my dad. He won't believe me, or he won't leave me alone. Yes. But he's not mentioned in the police report at all. Do you see that? That's telling. That is very telling. If somebody calls the police, if I'm here, if I'm anywhere and there's somebody with me, that should be written in the report that Becky Hoover and Becky Hoover's father, blah, 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 blah. But he's not mentioned in the police report at all. Do you see that? She says, I do. Ferrucci says, now, did you do any independent investigation on your own to determine whether this incident actually happened? Catherine McCabe answers, I didn't do an investigation, but I had a conversation with Ken Hoover and also Debbie Ickes, which is Becky's mom. Ferrucci, and Becky's mom doesn't say that Ken Hoover was there, right? No. And she doesn't say that Becky Hoover or Debbie Ickes was there, correct? Correct. And Catherine's saying she didn't witness this. It says, and Kate's saying she didn't witness this incident, correct? Correct. So Kate must be an employee. So Kate's saying, I never witnessed that incident that Becky said I witnessed. What? Wait a minute. What? So an employee. Oh my God. So an employee of Becky Hoover's literally says, I never witnessed that incident that Becky said I witnessed. Catherine says that is correct. Ferrucci, And you never did any independent investigation to determine whether whose story was true. No, I mean, in what regard? Like, did you ever ask for the camera footage? No. But Becky told you she had cameras, though, right? Right. I mean, you just took Becky at her word on all these things. She says, if Becky told me that something was happening, I believe that. Wow. So we're going into something else about messages between 111 and 112. And she says, what I'm saying to you is I was under the impression that these were all complete messages. And Attorney Ferrucci says, okay, but does it look to you like there's missing messages? Does it look to you like it's cut off? She says, yeah, it looks cut off. And then Becky says, thank you. See, yeah, it looks cut off because, so it looks like to me that there's missing messages. Yeah, what it looks like might have happened was as you're doing this, like you can see how it's just gathering down. So it may have just cut it off and I didn't realize it. I don't know. I would have to look at these messages and compare them. Miss McCabe, I'm really not accusing you. She said, no, I understand. I'm trying to understand if there's missing messages between these, and Becky's looks like it cut off on 111 when she says thanks for something. Right. So there's missing messages somewhere in here. I would have to sit down and compare these messages that are on these papers to the messages. Okay, in their entirety. I'm asking as you sit here if you agree with me about that. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here. Yeah, I can't tell. I would have to. I mean, this is Ferrucci. I mean, I'm not a crazy person. It looks cut off and she's thanking you for something. Wow. Yeah, I would understand better if I could sit down and look at the messages. He says, okay, do you have those messages? She says, on my computer, they would probably be. He says, you haven't deleted any of those messages? She says, I do not recall deleting of the messages, no. Okay, so you think you have them. So that's something you could do for me if I asked you to do it. Should be able to, yeah. Let's look at 112. So she says, can you tell me the person who you spoke with? Do you see that? Yes. Okay, so that's why I think it's just picking up somewhere, because at no point on page 111 are you telling her that you spoke with somebody, right? She says basically visual proof. You see that? Yes. And you say, okay. And when you do that, you will blur out parts that the judge would consider to be implying to avoid any backlash, right? Correct. Like, I'm assuming you would remove anything that would describe her or imply it's her. Do you see that? That is correct. Do you think that that was done? I believe so. Ferrucci says, I hate to be a pain. This has been a long 2 years, and I can't imagine going through what we have gone through and losing Becky just so she can turn around and sue us and win. Who are you referring to there? She says Trude. Stephanie Trude. Let me repeat the message. I hate to be a pain. This has been a long 2 years, and I can't imagine going through what we have gone through and losing Becky just so she can turn around and sue us and win. Here's another one. Do you know if the cameras worked in that store? She says, I don't know. So you didn't do any independent investigation? No. All right, I'm at page 4. Just sit down. Kate says she rarely, so this is the employee. I'm assuming it's the employee. Kate says she rarely had nice things to say about anyone. So many times. So Kate is talking about Becky Hoover in this text. Kate says she rarely had nice things to say about anyone. So many times she told me I wasn't pretty enough to work in the store, or that I needed to change things about myself to fit her standards. I remember one event where she had to be at the store where other small businesses owners came in, and I had to be there to run the register in case anyone wanted to buy stuff. And I did my hair and makeup and had nice clothes on. Becky walked in and said, "Wow, you look nice. I didn't know you were that pretty." Do you see that? She says yes. I'm looking at page 161, right at the bottom there towards the last bubble. Becky says, "I lost a client of 5 years because of Stephanie." Do you see that? Catherine replies, yes. Ferrucci says, "Do you know whether that's true or not?" Catherine says, She says, "I do not." Ferrucci says, "Did you do any independent investigation to determine whether it was true or not?" Are you listening to this, chaps? Catherine says, "I did not." Ferrucci says, "Let's look at page 161, 163. Sorry. So Becky tells you on 163, she says, you tell her the story about Deborah. Do you remember that story? Catherine says, yes. And she says, okay, different. I guess I'm just paranoid now. Do you think Becky was paranoid? Catherine says, no, I do not. All right, let me flip to one more little exhibit here. This is actually part of Travis McCabe's deposition, which we haven't really heard much from him in all of this, but he was deposed. So let's get into this. And then I'm going to read. Okay? Or I'm going to sing. I'm not going to read. I'm done fucking reading. I've already gone 20 minutes over. All right. Deposition, January 23rd, 2024. Deposition of Travis McCabe. So we're just going to get into couple of these pages. Becky states, so this is Ferrucci to Travis. Becky states, I would never wish this on anyone. Do you see that? Travis says, I do. But she has gone way too far, having me followed and harassed. You see that? Travis says, I do. Do you know whether that's true or not? Travis says, I do not know if that's true or not. Ferrucci says, you didn't do any independent investigation to determine whether that was true or not? Travis says, no. Are you learning all of this from me for the first time? Travis says, going in depth with it? Yeah. I never went into the messages. I just kind of glanced at them accordingly. So when you were hearing about Becky being harassed, that was second-hand information from Becky? Secondhand from Becky, or I heard of incidents. Like I said about the Jeep, the 1-star review, those I heard directly from Becky. Okay. But a lot of the different situations I heard was me and my wife who kind of give me a general synopsis of different experiences that she was going through. Ferrucci says, so you never personally witnessed Becky being harassed? Travis McCabe says, me personally, no. Let's look at 125. Anyone know what time it is? 12:05. If you guys want to break for lunch, let me know. I can get through this next set and we can go to it. Okay. 125, she says, Becky says, oh wait, I'm sorry. I'm flipping to a new one. Okay, so he says, Ferrucci says, while I stayed positive and made a ton of new stuff at the store, I, however, lost 2 cleaning clients today because supposedly she figured out I own Sunshine and 2 of the people are her friends. Excuse me? And I was told her and Nicole I talked trash about me and how they needed to go to another company. Do you see that? I do. Did you know anything about that accusation there? No, I did not. Is this the first time you're hearing of that? Travis says yes. So you didn't do any independent investigation to determine whether that was true. Correct. Do you know who the Nicole is she is referring to? Travis says, I do not. Wow. Oh. Miss McCabe says, who were the women and why do you think I know one of them? Becky says, I honestly took your advice, my husband's advice, which was, let me skip that one. She says you don't know. Sorry. Point of Fitness. Do you see that? I do. Do you know who Point of Fitness is? It's a gym, I believe. I've never been. By the way, this business, Point of Fitness, is no longer in business by the owners that were at that time. They sold it and there's a new business owner. Okay. Hold on one second. Okay. Sorry. Somebody just bought one of my cookbooks. Thank you. They were messaging me to let me know. Do you know whether Point of Fitness, I'm guessing that would have been the owner. Do you know whether Point of Fitness was going into Becky's store and doing these things that she's being accused of here? Travis says, no, not that I'm aware of. Did you do any independent investigation to determine whether that was true? Travis says, no, I did not. Are you learning this from me the first time? Yes, as we're going through it. Okay, let's look at 179. I'm going on to the first sentence. Let me know when you're there. He says, I'm there. So on the top of page 179, Becky states, well, Stephanie visited my local retail ladies and spread lies to them. Do you see that? I do. Do you know whether that's true or not? That I could not tell you. Are you learning this from me for the first time today? Yeah, as I'm going through it. I got a couple more pages, and then I'm going to sing my song and get the hell off here. Ferrucci, I don't know. I think this is... Okay. So if you're referring to whatever I'm in public and okay. So this is with Travis also. If you were investigated for a crime, the police exonerate you for that crime. They take me out of it. Gotcha. They say the accusations against you were unfounded. Okay. If I went into the public and I said, Travis committed this crime. Okay. And I left out the part about the police investigating it and finding my accusations or the accusations against you unfounded, would I be telling the truth? So you're referring to, would I be the one that's, I'm in public and I say Travis committed that crime. Listen up, chaps, you fucking bitch. The attorney says, I'm in public and I say Travis committed that crime. You did the same thing. Okay. But there's a police report out there that says that the allegations against you were unfounded. Gotcha. Would I be telling the whole truth? Travis replies, no, you wouldn't be telling the whole truth. The last thing that I'm going to say on these depositions, and I'm going to go get, hold on, let me finish this. Did you think did you think that wasn't going to happen? What was going to happen? I'm sorry. The trade secrets was going to fail. No. Why didn't you think it was going to happen? They seemed like a very successful business that could withstand accusations of bullying and harassment. Travis says, I couldn't tell you. I'm not a business expert to say what one could and could not handle as far as indifferent outside interferences or anything like that. We are going to get all of Catherine McCabe and Colleen Knutsen's text messages that are on the public docket. We're going to read those. This is going to be multi-parts. And we're going to keep going. Trial 3 months. Give me 2 seconds. This is my finale. Okay. If you don't know what this song is about, let me tell you that the sheriffs tried to sue Afro Man for his freedom of speech. Everybody's talking about freedom of speech, okay? Yes, everybody has freedom of speech, but you don't have the freedom of speech to defame somebody. So, with that being said, I'm going to sing my a cappella Lemon Pound Cake. While we do this, please put some lemons in the chat and cake. Okay? You ready? Adams County Sheriff kicked down my door. Then I heard the glass break. They found no kidnapping victims, just some lemon pound cake. Mama's lemon pound cake. It tastes so nice. It made the sheriff want to put down his bird and cut him a slice. Of what? Of what? Lemon pound cake. He want to put down his gun. Lemon pound cake. Trending on TikTok. Lemon pound cake. He's a family guy. Lemon pound cake. He got the munchies because he got high. Lemon pound cake. Pound cake. He's an Adams County Sheriff. He's hungry and he's big as hell. Like Hong. Cuckoo. He was sniffing for weed. Then he smelled another smell. What was that? Mama's lemon pound cake. It tastes so nice. It made the sheriff wanna put down his gun and cut him a slice of what? Lemon pound cake. He wanna put down his Glock. Lemon pound cake. Trending on TikTok. Lemon pound cake. He's a family guy. Lemon pound cake. He got the munchies because he got high. Lemon pound cake. Pound cake. He sees my cake and my pointer mag. Call boom boom. Cuckoo. Something happened to the camera on the way to the evidence room. Mama's lemon pound cake. It tastes so nice. It made the sheriff wanna put down his gun and cut him a slice of what? Lemon pound cake. He wanna put down his lemon pound cake. Trending on TikTok. Lemon pound cake. He's a family guy. Lemon pound cake. He munchies because he got high. Lemon pound cake. Pound cake. Lemon pound cake. He wanna put down his lemon pound cake. Trending on TikTok. Lemon pound cake. He's a family guy. Lemon pound cake. Because he got high. Lemon pound cake. Pound cake. Now listen to me very carefully. I did a rendition of that song. Look at the time. It's 12:11. Shit, I better get off here. Listen, so I did a rendition of this song with my lawsuit with Dog the Bounty Hunter and Nick and Lesniak filing and Brittany Jackson and Julia Valenti and Seth Rogers and Andrew Griffin and Christina O'Donnell and Hong Soo and Tony Mathis. I did my own song. It's on my video tab. If you scroll down, there's a picture of all of them in a boat. And there's like an airplane up in the sky where Dog the Bounty Hunter's hair is blowing. Anyway, you should listen to it. There might be a little cam slip in there. Trigger warning. Anyway, again, this is part 2. We have so much to go through. I want to go through documents and read text messages. These are all public to anybody. Anybody can go and pick these up at the courthouse. You have to pay per page, but they're available to anybody. So it's not like I'm getting secret confidential filings or anything like that. I'm going to the courthouse and paying for them. I have receipts, literally. Barbecue lady for number 1, ride or die. Yeah, for real. Anyway, thank you guys all for listening to the motion for sanctions for the defendant's failure to produce documents and other dilatory conduct. I want you guys to, if you haven't listened to part 1, it's the complaint. I had someone locally coming in harassing me who's also publicly accused me of bullying Becky Hoover to death with his girlfriend also, but neither here nor there. Try and listen to it. I think it's 2 hours long, but it's very interesting and kind of lays out a lot of the timeline. But I think that the exhibits are even more telling. And we're going to read Colleen Knutson, the news anchor, her messages with Catherine McCabe. That's what we're going to read next. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, the like button. I appreciate all you guys hanging out. Thank you for the super chats. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for anybody who bought a cookbook. My cookbook is on my public community post tab. There's a link there. So I'll be doing cooking lives. I'll be doing the series of Hite versus McCabe. And you guys are encouraged to follow along because it's very informative. I mean, this is literally going to lay out what not to do. especially with a lot of people online and being on SueTube. So thank you all. I hope you all have a great evening, and I appreciate everybody's support and becoming a part of the barbecue club. Yeah, barbecue club. All right, see you later.